This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. So I know this video will make at least one person happy, Perry, if you're watching. I finally got to try an SVL 61 Reserve. So SVL guitars, if you're not aware, this belongs to Jake, by the way. All right, Jake. And earlier today, picking this up, I was working on my form, and actually I've heard that there's apparently a little bit of an opening for an online sort of social media person with kickboxing experience. Anyway, so it's something I'm going to be working on. Go follow me on TikTok. So Simon Law is actually, I think, Robin Ford's guitar tech in the UK when he tours the UK. And I think the most notable player of SVL guitars is Matt Schofield, who incidentally does have a course on TrueFire, which I'm going to go and look at in a minute. I'll talk about that a bit more maybe later on. This seems to have fairly large frets, not the small vintage style frets. It weighs about 7 pounds and 4 ounces. This actually has Ron Ellis 64 pickups in it that belong to Mick Taylor of that pedal show, and Callahan hardware. Kind of, I guess that's pretty vintage correct, right? But Callahan is one of the kind of hardware building people that I think have a really good reputation. And a really beautiful kind of figured but subtle flamed maple neck. Super comfortable neck shape. I guess if it's a 61, it's going to be sort of a C and not too chunky. It's just a really comfortable, I think, happy medium. And this has a super, super dark fretboard, which is one of the things that people look for. I think these days, especially, the darker the rosewood, supposedly, the more desirable it is. Anyway, so how does it play? I actually really like it. The most outstanding part about it to me was this middle pickup position, which I don't know if you could hear in the video at the points where I turned to it. It was like, oh wow, that's probably the first time that I've noticed the middle pickup position on a Strat before, because it just really seems to stick out as being really quite something special. Now this, I think the idea behind Simon building these initially was apparently that from working for 16 years as a tech on various instruments, he'd noticed that maybe some of the boutique big name builders, you know, whether they're custom shops, that sort of stuff is what he mentioned specifically, he didn't think they were necessarily all they were cracked up to be, and this is, in theory, his idea to right that wrong. I think I've played one vintage Strat. This plays better than that one, I think, as in an actual vintage Strat. They're not always super easy to play as far as I'm aware, because obviously they're very old guitars. It's aged quite subtly, you know, it's a lovely thin nitro finish which has got some checking. And yeah, I think it sounds the business, plays really well, is a nice lightweight guitar. Jake does actually have a fantastic Fender custom shop as well, though, and I don't think either of us think that this is necessarily better than that. It's a little bit different, but you know, two great guitars. The price tag on these things is pretty steep. That's kind of the one barrier to entry, I guess. So if you're looking at a custom shop Fender, I think maybe they're around $3,000 to $3,500 now, and these are at least sort of around that, in the ballpark there. Go on his website and have a look. Would I recommend this over a K-line? No. Is it better than some of my K-lines? I think so, yes. In particular, these pickups, though, stand out to me as being really, really, really cool. But yeah, I think some of my K-lines I would put up against it, not all of them. But I think also a part of what's really nice about this, it's kind of, I don't know, it's got this lovely kind of old character to it, the clay dots and stuff. You'll see it on the channel a bit more because Jake's entrusted me to look after it for a bit. So if you've got any questions about it, or any particular styles of stuff you want to see done with it. There's a couple of bird's eyes in the maple too. He says that these reserve ones, so the reserve are like the top of the range or whatever, are made from older wood. And I don't know how old the wood is, but yeah, it's really nice anyway. So thanks, Jake, for letting me borrow that. And let me know your thoughts. Have you played an SVL? Are these too expensive for what they are? Or do you think they're, you know, a boutique guitar is a boutique guitar? The guitars that I've played that stand out to me in this kind of realm, David Beebe's Fibonacci, obviously my blue K-line. Jake's got another, that blue custom shop, Lake Placid blue Fender custom shop. I think that's a fantastic guitar. And, you know, I played that actual 64 Strat of Phil's. Even actually the PRS Silver Sky that I borrowed off of Dave from up the road. There are some really fantastic guitars in this kind of range. And I think even the custom shop still must be building some really good stuff. I think it's a case of probably playing a few. But this is definitely up there as one of the best Strats I've ever played. And just a really cool looking thing, I reckon anyway. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you buy one? Trying one of these might have been quite an expensive mistake, because potentially if I saw one come up that was the right kind of colour scheme and stuff, I might be tempted. At the moment though, probably not. So I'll just borrow it off of Jake when I need to play an SVL, right? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, there's the Matt Schofield course on TrueFire, and TrueFire are a partner of the channel, and really been quite supportive, and financially, I mean, I really like what they do, and I like to kind of sit down of an evening and, you know, instead of necessarily just scrolling on Instagram or, you know, letting social media do the talking, I like to sometimes just go in and kind of pick out an artist that I really like, whether it's Robin Ford, Tim Miller, Alan Hines, Andy Timmons. These are just some of the things that I found on there. Martin Taylor, and I need to go and have a look at Matt Schofield, Tim Lurch. There's just tons and tons of great stuff on there, and, you know, lessons from guitarists that have actually done the thing. So instead of someone on YouTube like me who may or may not have much of a career, I think it's great to learn from the people that have really achieved some stuff. So Matt Schofield is quite prominent in the blues world, so I'm going to go and have a little look at his course and see if there's any interesting tidbits in there. Blues is a thing that I'm sort of interested in. I've dabbled around. I think it's really important to get some kind of blues concepts in your playing, specifically I think for the kind of feel and tone kind of things, because, you know, blues isn't always about playing tons of notes, which I'm guilty of doing a lot of the time, but oftentimes it's about getting more out of less, and I think that's quite a cool concept. I'm going to go see what Matt Schofield has to say. Use the code JNC40 and you can get 40% off any courses on TrueFire, or you can use the link below to get all access membership, which I think is probably the most cost efficient way to jump into TrueFire. I think it's, you know, not too expensive for the entire year, and you can jump between all of the courses on there, and I've found, you know, 10, maybe 15 things already that have really got me thinking about some things and give me, you know, inspiration to practice. So yeah, SVL, I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers. Oh, presets, I'm using Eric Lead 35 for the kind of gained up tones, and then I was using ODS Reverb 35 for the clean stuff.